We got back for the fourth time, my Uncle Rob McRay.
Sorry about that. But those of you who've been here to hear me tell know that I can't stand still and talk. I want to tell you the story of my first love. It is the Valentine's season, it seemed appropriate. And when I say first love, I don't mean the first childhood puppy love sort of infatuation. That would have been in 1968 in Miss Hudgens' 5th grade class. Their names were Nancy, Mandy, and Mary Alice. The 3 cutest girls in the 5th grade class. And yes, all 3 of them at the same time. Even at 11 years old, I was a player. Well, I would have been a player if all 3 of them hadn't come to me together at the same time and said, "What could we do to make you stop liking us?" That's the kind of thing that could crush a lesser man. But when I say first love, I also don't mean that first awkward adolescent crush. That would have been in the 9th grade at the Anglican school in Jerusalem. Her father was the Venezuelan ambassador to Israel. Her name was Isabella. She was a raven-haired Latin beauty, and I was mesmerized. But she was joined at the hip to her best friend, the daughter of a Baptist missionary. And I wondered, can you go to hell for hoping a Baptist missionary's daughter gets sick and has to move back to the States? But, we were only there for the 1 school year and we left, and so my dreams of riding off in the sunset with a South American princess kind of faded. Now, when I say my first love, I mean the first time I actually fell in love and asked a girl to go steady. Now, that's what we used to call it back then, some of you know. Now they call it talking. Of course you're talking. That's what you be doing. I talk to lots of girls, I don't understand. This was the first girl I fell in love with. And most people that I know, most couples who are in love, have some story they can tell you about when they first met, and first met eyes and who introduced them and the whole beautiful story of how we don't really remember what we were. It was 1977. I was a junior in high school in Murfreesboro, and she was a sophomore in college at Middle Tennessee State University. Yeah, she was an older woman. There's sort of a theme here of being above my station in life. But I do know that mutual friends at church introduced us, we're just not exactly sure when it happened. But we do know that it happened there. Actually, I remember it better than she does. I remember being introduced to this beautiful brunette college woman and being captivated by her smile and wondering what she thought of me, which suggests that I hadn't entirely lost that delusional confidence of the 11-year-old, but because the truth is, she doesn't really remember meeting a high school student that year. But a couple of years later, I was a freshman at MTSU, and I started attending the Christian Student Center that was attached to our church, and I was dating around, as I always did. I almost never asked a girl out for a second date. I just hadn't found anybody I wanted to be talking with. So she was still hanging around the student center. By this time, she had gotten a nursing degree and was working as a nurse at a local hospital there. And I've still got a thing for those crisp white uniforms with the low caps. The day you go to the hospital, you can't tell the doctor from the nurse from the janitor. They all look the same. It's the good old days. But I noticed her again. I saw her there, and I was still captivated by her smile and by her fun, goofy personality, and to be honest, by her great legs. This was 1977. It was the days of those little, short, bright-colored gym shorts that girls wore, not just at gym class, everywhere, and even to devotionals at the Christian Student Center. I never did really understand how girls thought that young, hormonally driven college students were supposed to sit and close their eyes in prayer and think of Jesus without peeking. This is just an indication of our lack of spiritual maturity. And I wasn't the only one captivated by her. All the guys wanted to date Judy. She was kind of the heartbreaker at the Student Center. By this time, she had already gone steady with 2 guys and was now talking with Tim, this moody PhD student with a porn star mustache. Actually, in 1977, we all had mustaches. We just didn't call them porn star mustaches. And I didn't really think this relationship was going to last. He was kind of a moody guy. But I thought, well, I'll just kind of bide my time. And that summer, he went away for the summer, and so I kind of moved in. Now, nothing too bold, because it just really wouldn't be the Christian thing to do to steal a girl from a brother in Christ. But I would kind of ask, how she was feeling about things in a sort of a sympathetic, compassionate kind of way, and I could tell that this was not going to end well for Brother Tim. So I waited, and when she broke up with him, I asked her out immediately. I don't even think I waited for an appropriate, respectful warning period. And I wanted to impress her, and so I took her to Nashville, because back then in Murfreesboro, that's what you did. If you wanted to impress a girl, you either went to the Kentucky Ribeye Steakhouse or you drove to Nashville. It was pretty much the alternative. So we drove to the city. We went to Ireland's. Anybody here remember the Ireland's? Yeah. Live music, great steak and biscuits. We had a wonderful meal, great conversation. When it was over, she said, I grew up in Hermitage over here in the suburbs, and my church is having a fellowship meal tonight. Could we stop by? And then the fateful words, I would like you to meet my parents. First date. This might have scared off a lesser man, but I took it as a sign that she was as interested in me as I was in her. And so we met her parents, and everything went well. And we dated for about a month before I asked her to go steady. And then about a year later, I asked her to marry me. And 35 years ago, this August, I married my first love. The only girl I've ever loved. She's sitting back there, and some of you have been around her. That's good. Some of you have been around here know her as the lady that had the wreck in the car wash. But she's also been the best thing that happened to me. Car wrecks aside. And on our 25th wedding anniversary, we went for second honeymoon to Atlantic City. And the home of the Miss America pageant. And we went and spent a week on the beach and the boardwalk and seeing shows. Just had a great time. And the night of our anniversary, we went to this lovely restaurant down by the beach. And she wore this little black dress that really flattered her figure and her dark hair and dark eyes. And we were sitting there. The waitress found out it was our 25th anniversary. And she sat down next to Judy to look at the gold locket I'd just given her. And inside the locket was the Hebrew phrase from Song of Solomon, Ani ledodi vedodi li. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Yeah, guys, Guys, take note. You get major brownie points for that. And I thought the waitress was going to cry. She said, I just hope someday I have what you have. You know, so sweet. And then this family walked in. Kids, parents, grandparents came by our table. And the grandfather paused as he came by the table. He leaned over between the two of us and he said, Sir, I don't know who you are, but you're with Miss America. Take that, Nancy, Mandy, and Mary Alice.